So, again, for those of you joining us, thank you so much for coming to our new user onboarding and training webinar with Prestozon. So you have the entire customer success team with you today. My name is Ariel, and I'm joined by my colleagues Dirk and Kevin. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, hi, this is Kevin. It's good to have you.
Kevin forgot how to people in lockdown.
I did. I really did.
Okay. So, just a bit of housekeeping, everyone. Feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar. We'll be answering your questions. Just make sure you hit that little Q&A button, and we will answer them as we go. And Kevin may also answer them visually as well. We'll try and cover everything and not skip a beat. So, the roadmap for today's uh, chat. Basically, we're going to do an introduction to best practices for Prestozon, as well as sharing like our tips and tricks. We're going to take you through our analytics, also the one-click campaign setup, and our keyword rules customization for keyword harvesting, as well as bid automation and bid history. And we're also going to take you through our bid and keyword suggestions. And then at the end, we'll have some time for extra Q&A, and I'll share the Prestozon resources for success. Hopefully we're going to have a cool new feature to today's webinar where we're going to kind of show you in a couple of minutes how to restructure your account, which is going to be super, super helpful and really interesting. So without further ado, shall I hand it over to you, Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Ariel. Wonderful. Well, everybody, thanks for coming. Welcome to Prestozon. We're going to walk through the platform here. We're going to go over some of the major features in Prestozon and then show you some of the strategies we suggest just to get you started here. And to get started, let's just get into the app. You'll see Ariel here has prestozon.com up. If you click on the sign in button there, if you haven't signed up yet, you'll want to do get started. That will register your account. You'll register with login with Amazon. We do use login with Amazon here. We find that that is a more convenient, more secure way to access your data through the Amazon API. So if you're walking through that screen, you'll want to use the login credentials you use to log into the seller account for the Amazon account you want to import over to Prestozon. Once you walk through that setup, there'll be some importing time, but then eventually you'll get here to this screen, this analytics screen. And I hope if you're with us on the call today, you at least have gotten this far. If not, write into us here at support, and we will help you out to get here. So this is sort of home base in Prestozon, this analytics page, these charts and the metrics up here at the top. I do want to cover just a quick couple of housekeeping tips, and then we'll dive into strategy things. One of the first things you're going to want to do in Prestozon is set your target ACOS. You can do that by hitting this drop down gear here, and you configure settings there. Go ahead and click into that for me. There we go. Here you will be able to set the default ACOS target across the account. This is just what your campaigns default to when you get started. If you're an author, especially an ACOS of 100% might be a good place to start. If you're not an author, something down near 30 is maybe a good place. It's going to be different depending on what your account is and your environment. But you do want to get in here and set this default ACOS target pretty quickly here. That's one of the first important things you can do. Once you've got that set, you can hit save settings there, and there we go. Wonderful. The other thing, the other housekeeping thing is up there in the top right-hand corner, you will see the name of the account. Now, if you are just signing in, this might be your account ID. It might be your brand name here. It depends on if you're accessing with a seller account versus a vendor account. But you can change this display name here, and you can do that by clicking on that gear and then hitting Rename Seller Account. There we go. And in the screen, you'll actually see that Amazon account ID. That's an important thing. You want to have that, know what that is right there. But you can change this display name here to whatever you want, particularly if you have several accounts running. This is a great way to be able to toggle between them quickly. If you're ever writing into support, we're going to ask you for this account ID number because we needed to look up your information. So I always recommend pasting it after your display name, whatever you want for your display name there. That way it's easy to find at any point. So when you do that, you can hit change name and you will be all set. That allows you to find different accounts. Ariel, if you can click on that drop down where it says Prestozon Books right now, this account is connected to multiple accounts. So you can see there's this drop down here, and the ones that have been renamed with their display name are just a little easier to find. Better than those just the letters and digits. Makes it a little easier for you. So those are a couple quick things you want to do right when you get into Prestozon, make your life a little easier. Before we get into the major features of Prestozon, I want to talk about a philosophy we use here at Prestozon called search term isolation. Now, Ariel's going over to our blog here, where we have one of our favorite blog posts, why search term isolation is critical for ad optimization. I recommend going over to our blog. We have a lot of great resources here. A lot of the ideas and features that I'm talking about, there will be a blog post for them. So it's a great place to get started. Search term isolation is really important for us for our workflow. It allows you to get granular control of your accounts, of your keywords, and be able to make effective changes. Excuse me. The idea is we are looking for a one-to-one relationship between your search terms and your keywords. And we'll go over what that means and what that looks like in an account here as we go forward. But I want to talk to you, I just wanted to introduce the idea of search term isolation before we jump in. It's really important. You're going to hear us talk about it a lot through this process. Okay, let's jump back over to the app and take a look. So again, this is sort of home base. This is the home page, if you will, in the Prestozon app. These analytics here, you will see that we have a couple of overview metrics here at the top, cost, spend, sales, CTR, and orders. That is going to be for the date range that is selected there, and you'll see that Ariel was clicking in there. By default, this is set to the last 30 days. This is a staging account, so we've got our last 30 days from April to May there. But you can manually select some date ranges in here. We have a couple of quick select options there on your right-hand side. And if you change them, you will see those metrics update in real time for whatever date range that you have set. There are a couple of other filters there at the top as well. You can filter by ad type, whether it's sponsored brand, sponsored display, or sponsored products. Sort of a quick way to select those kinds of ads. And again, that'll update the metrics in real time. Or you can filter by campaign or ad group. Up there at the top, you can just start entering, in this case, a campaign name, click on it, and it will show you the information, again, based on that date range that you have selected. Underneath that, you will see these two charts here. These are a really great way to get an overview of an account, to understand what's going on in your account. And one of the ways that these charts can be really useful is you can look for what we like to call inflection points. And this is just an inflection point would be a major change in your account. Maybe you started a new campaign. Maybe you went in and changed the budget on a campaign, whatever that might be. If you can look through these charts and see those moments, see the major changes, the shift in the chart, and then you can go investigate what that issue is and either help that issue along if that was a good change, or make some corrections if that was a change that's not working out for you. The metrics that are shown in these charts, you can see Ariel is showing that you can swap those out. You can have two metrics in each chart, and then we have 2 charts so that you can sort of see those 4 metrics side by side at a glance. These charts are just a really great way to get a quick overview of your account performance, and a great way to get some insight. Above these charts, you will see we have a couple of other views, a couple of tabs here. We have a Campaign Explorer, Ad Group Explorer, Keyword Explorer, Search Term Explorer, and our ASIN Explorer. Now, these are going to break out your account by those entities. So let's get a look at those. Let's start with the Campaign Explorer, Ariel. So this is an overview of your account, again in that date range up there at the top, and this is broken out by campaign. You'll see each of those campaigns listed there. They are sorted by default by spend. Now, our default sort is always by spend in Prestozon. The idea is that you will see your highest spend entities first, because they are likely to be the entities that have the most effect on your account. If you put them at the top, you can see what's going on there. You can make any changes that you want. The idea just being to put the most impactful entities first on the top of these lists. You'll see we have the major metrics for each of these campaigns: spend, sales, ACOS, impressions, clicks, CTR, CPC, orders, and conversion rates. Again, sort of just gives you quick at a glance how this is performing. You will see we have a couple of columns here that are color-coded, like this ACOS column here. You'll remember we set the target ACOS at the beginning, the default target ACOS for the campaign. Now you ACOS at the campaign level, and we'll talk about that. But this color-coded column is based on that target ACOS. If the number here is green, like we have in this Magic Wand campaign, that means you are running at or below your target ACOS. If the color is orange, that means you are running above your target ACOS. And if the color is red, that means that you are running at more than double your target ACOS. So this is just a great way, again, to sort of grab your attention, see entities that are see how they're performing quickly at a glance. If everything's green, that means you know you're hitting your target ACOS and you're in good shape. If everything's red, it draws your attention to it, so you can give it some of the attention it needs. Wonderful. So you could break out your accounts by any of these entities here at the top, and then they have additional breakdown expansions rather here. The breakdown expansion that you click, like in this case, ad group, is going to show you the ad groups that are available in those campaigns, and again, we can see metrics for those as well. But I want to start by looking at I want to look at this through the Search Term Explorer, because we can start talking about search term isolation here. So clicking on the Search Term Explorer is going to show me all of the search terms that have run through my account in the last, whatever my date range is set to. This is really, really useful. Now, these search terms are really important to pay attention to, because we like to say that search terms are the touch point with the customers. These are the phrases, the words that the users are actually typing into their search bar, and so you can see how they're performing, what kind of traffic they are driving for you here. This is such a great view here. Let's see. So this is great. We can see up here at the top, this first one, Magician's Hat. We can see, this is our highest spend search term. We get a bunch of great metrics here. And this view is really useful, but it sort of doesn't tell me the whole story. I see that Magician's Hat is giving me a lot of traffic here, but I want to know where that traffic is coming from, what keywords it's running through. So let's hit that breakdown expansion. Yeah, the keyword breakdown expansion. Now, this here, the search term chart with the keyword breakdown expansion, is one of my favorite views in Prestozon. It gives us a lot of insight here and can really show us this idea of search term isolation. Now, you'll see this keyword here, or excuse me, this search term here at the top is managed by one keyword. We have Magician's Hat, the search term, and this keyword breakdown shows me which keywords are managing that search term. And in this instance, we have that one-to-one relationship that I was talking about. We have a magician's hat exact match keyword, and that is what is handling this magician's hat search term across my account. You can see all of the metrics are identical there between the keyword and the search term. Um, that's what we love to see. This is search term isolated. This is what we really like. If you go down to yeah, Magic Wand, for instance, Magic Wand's kind of a funny one. We do have some exact match keywords, but they are running through multiple ad groups. And in fact, we can see that this is useful. If you hover over the icon, the little circle icon to the left of the keyword, that'll give you some additional information about which ad group that's running through. But this is a great example of a keyword, excuse me, a search term that's being managed from multiple locations. We have multiple ad groups here. And what's challenging about this situation? We see that Magic Wand as a search term is performing pretty well for us. Overall, the search term is running at a 15% ACoS, and that's great. If you wanted to manage this search term, if you wanted to, since it is such a high performing search term for us, if you wanted to scale this, if you wanted to maybe increase the bid because it does so well for you, it's really challenging to do that in this instance because I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keywords. That's 7 places I have to manage the bid. And if I change the bid in one place, that may not actually have a direct effect on the search term. I might just be shifting my impressions from one of my keywords to the other one. That's why it can be so challenging to get control of your account if you aren't search term isolated. The flip side of that, again, is back to magician's hat. I have one keyword that I can manage bid on in this case, and I know that that is going to have a direct effect on the search term. And you know, maybe I have some ideas about how to make this search term more efficient. I now have hard data. If I make an adjustment to this keyword and I raise the bid and my ACoS goes up and my sales go down, I go, oh, that was a bad idea. Reverse, go back. Whereas if I do it in those other places, I don't know if that was a successful change or not. If that was something that was useful for my account, because I might just be shifting impressions around. So again, I'm saying in many words that search term isolation is what you want to shoot for in these accounts so that you can have control. And we are going to talk about how to do that with our one-click campaign setup, where we're going to talk about some rules that will help you out with that. But before we do that, I want to just show you a couple other features while we're in here. You'll see to the right of the search term, there's a little neg button. Now, this is a way for you to quickly negate a search term that isn't performing well for you, or maybe it's a search term that's unrelated to your campaign, to your product. This neg button allows you to jump in there really quickly and create a negative keyword for there. Once you click in there, excuse me, I'm gonna grab a drink of water really quick. Hang on. Okay, I feel much better now. Once you click on that neg button, you'll come up with this create negative keywords list where you can select either an exact match or a phrase match, and then select which ad groups. This is going to automatically bring up all of the ad groups that this search term has run through, and you can select which ad groups you want to create a negative keyword in. This allows you to just sort of jump in quickly if you see a negative key, or excuse me, if you see a search term that is underperforming for you and you want to get out of there, you can do that quickly with this neg button. Select your ad groups and then create that negative keyword. Alternately, if you hit the lightning bolt just to the right of that neg button, that's sort of a quick negate. That'll automatically negate in all of the ad groups there. So that's a quick button. It's really powerful. It's just important to know what you're doing with that lightning bolt. Hitting in the neg button proper sort of gives you some granular control, whereas the lightning bolt will just quickly negate across there. What else? Am I missing anything in here before we move on to the one-click campaign setup? I will talk about the keyword detail page a little later. Anything else in these charts that I missed, Ariel or Dirk?
I don't know if you want to mention the search term chart. I know it's a pro feature, but I always think it's super cool to look at.
Yeah, sure. So you'll notice to the left of to the very left of all of these entities here, there's a little chart button there. The ones next to the keyword will bring up a keyword detail page, and we will look at that feature a little later. But to the left of the search terms, if you click on that, that will give you, this is a great view. Again, this is available on the Pro subscription. If you're on a core subscription, these search term charts are not available. But when we click on that, it's going to take us over to this analytics page that is just for the search term. This can be really, really useful to see how search term has performed over time, give you a little more granular information about these search terms, and you'll see we have these charts popping up. These charts should be familiar to you. They're very similar to the ones on the front page. Again, we can adjust which metrics are being shown on these. And this is specifically for, what search term did we look up here? Magic wand, not a full magic wand, just a magic wand. And then this view right here, this chart down here at the bottom is really what's powerful about this. We can see, we can get a graph view of which ad groups and campaigns this search term is running through, which keywords are managing this search term. And again, this one is not super well isolated, so we have several ad groups that are here. But if you were in a situation where that's how you were running your account, you had a lot of keywords managing a single search term, this is a great graph. You can see how it's performing and make any adjustments as needed based on this information. Yeah, that search term chart is a really powerful tool. Great.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
No, I always just like to show it
I
off.
know it's a great feature. So. Wonderful. Well, let's go over to the one-click campaign setup. We will show you some quick ways to get set up in Prestozon. More importantly, we will talk about how to get search term isolated. We're going to talk through the campaign manager page here in a bit, but the one-click campaign setup is here in the campaign manager up there at the top. You can click on that blue one-click campaign setup button, and this will take you to our one-click campaign setup structure. Here you can enter the name for the campaigns up there in the product group name, and you will see on the right there that it starts giving you a structure preview. And what you'll notice right away is that we're not just making one campaign, we are making three. We are making an auto campaign, a research campaign, and a performance campaign. Now, we really like this one, this three campaign structure here. One of the things that this does for us is it creates a keyword funnel where your highest performing keywords, your keywords that perform the best, are going to get funneled down into that performance campaign. I'll talk about that more here in a bit. You'll see Ariel is walking through this process here. She's added her product group name. Any SKUs that you want to include in these ads go here. If you're an author, these will likely, you'll want to use ASINs here in this product. When you input your products. And then we can, below that, we can jumpstart these campaigns with some seed keywords. Now, yeah, I am going to talk about this campaign structure before I talk about seed keywords, because that way you'll get some context for them. So this three campaign structure does something really great for us. Amazon already has their auto campaigns, which are actually really powerful. We can leverage the power of those auto campaigns to find keywords for us. That auto campaign will take your products and serve automatically on search terms that Amazon thinks you'll do well on. What this process does, what this three campaign structure does, is when you get a sale in those auto campaigns, it's going to take the search term that generated that sale for you and bring it over into your performance campaign. It's going to make an exact match keyword for that that search term that converted for you. So that way essentially this performance group, this performance campaign, you know, is all just going to be exact match keywords that have made sales for you. And that's really useful. That way, if you want to ramp up your sales, you know that you can just send budget to this performance campaign, and you know that anything that's in that performance campaign, it has been responsible for sales. We also have this research campaign, which does some great stuff for us as well. When a search term makes a sale in that auto group, we're going to promote it as a broad match keyword in the research group. That way we can look around the search term for other potential search terms that are similar, that are very close by. And then when they make a sale in this research group, they will also get promoted into the performance group as well. Again, at the end of the day, the idea here is to just get high performing search terms in this performance group so that you know you can put your money there and you can trust it because you have data to back up that these keywords work for you.
Hey, Kev,
Yeah.
just while you are taking a breath, I just, to avoid confusion, want to point out, I know it's late over there in Europe, Ariel, you're putting the keywords in comma separated. It's one per line. So I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Don't do what Ariel's doing.
Yeah, don't. She's very effectively showing what not to do.
She did that so that we could talk about that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, anything you enter in these, whether it's your SKUs, ASINs, keywords, or otherwise, you do want to separate them by line and not comma. Yes.
I have one off, and I completely forget how the system works.
She just got back from vacation. But that's great. That brings us to these seed keywords. Now, if you don't put any seed keywords in here, what's going to happen is the auto campaign will run probably for a couple of weeks. It will start generating sales there, and it will start promoting up into your research and performance campaigns. You might have some keywords that you know that you think might work well, and also some keywords that you know might work well. You can include those from the very beginning here. The seed research keywords will create those keywords as broad match and put them in your research campaign and start looking around those search terms for terms that are similar that might make you some sales. And then the performance campaign keywords will automatically just get created as exact match keywords in that performance group. So if you're an author, the name of your book or your author name would be great suggestions here, since it's pretty certain that someone will probably use that as a search term. So you want to capture that here. I think it's important to note that if you start these from scratch and you don't add any keywords, the research and performance campaigns will show as incomplete in your AMS dashboard, and they won't actually start serving ads until they have keywords in them. So if you're starting fresh, the auto campaign, if everything is set up correctly, your auto campaign will be complete. It will start showing ads immediately. And then, you know, in a couple of days, a week, when you've generated some sales and Prestozon has harvested those keywords and put them in the research and performance campaigns, then those campaigns will get up and running. As soon as they have keywords in them, they'll start. They will start showing. We get that question a lot. Sometimes people will create one-click campaigns and go, "My research and performance campaigns aren't showing." They're incomplete, and that's why they just don't have keywords in them. So you can either start these and not put any seed keywords in them and be patient and wait for those to start up, or you can throw in just a couple of seed keywords there, and then those will be up and running right away. Great. Below that, we have some initial settings for these campaigns. First up is our budgets. You can set the starting budget for the auto, research, and performance campaigns. Now, again, this one-click campaign setup is designed to put the emphasis on the auto campaign at the beginning. We're going to send some budget to that so we can get it up and running. That'll find us some keywords. But by its nature, this auto campaign is going to perform less and less well as time goes on, because we're taking the good keywords out of it. We're pulling those and we're sending them over to our performance budget. So when you get started, you may want to put a little more budget towards the auto campaign. As your performance budgets get up and running, you'll want to shift over to those performance budgets. So depending on what your strategy is and how you want to do this, I might recommend starting with a little more in the budget, the auto budget at the beginning. But you know, you might have a different different strategy for your account. Underneath that, we can set the ACoS target here. Now, we did set this at the default level, which just means that it's going to default to whatever we set it. I think Ariel set it to 100% earlier, so that would default here. But you can set it individually on the campaign level. That's the important thing to remember here. You can set it however you want right here. And then the default bid there is going to set the starting bid for any keywords that you create. This is just where it starts. Our bid optimization algorithm will take over here in a bit, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But that'll get your bids up and started. Underneath that, we have our automation toggles. Now, this process of harvesting keywords of when they make a sale is we're going to look at the suggestions tab here in a minute. Those don't get applied automatically necessarily. That's a process that you can look at which keywords are being suggested for creation and apply those. And you know, we hope eventually you will sort of get your account set up the way you like it. You will trust Prestozon's suggestions, and then you can come in and you can automate this process, and I'll show you how to do that a little later. But if you're an old pro at Prestozon, once you sort of get the hang of this, you can turn on automation here from the very beginning on the bid suggestions as well as the keyword harvest. We recommend, if you're new to Prestozon, turning these off. We want you to see what's going on with Prestozon, what we're suggesting, what's going on, and then once you understand that process, you can turn on this automation. So again, recommend turning those off if you're new for now, so that we can see what Prestozon's doing. You will see there on the right, this is a preview of the rules structure that we're about to create. And we're talking about promoting keywords. Again, Prestozon is going to look for sales in these ad groups. And when it sees a sale, it's going to make these following keywords. You'll see that it's going to make a negative phrase match in the auto group. That negative phrase match keeps that keyword that you've made, it keeps it from running in the auto group so that we can stay search term isolated. That sale is going to create a broad match in the research group as well as a negative exact match in the research group. That means that the exact search term won't run through the research group, but things around it will. That's what that positive broad match with negative exact match do together. And then, of course, we do get that exact match in the performance campaign there as well. So we make all those kind of keywords on a sale in any of those ad groups. That's what happens. That's the preview right there. That's the basics for this one-click campaign setup. Once you have all that going, you can create the structure, and you should be off and running. I do want to talk about some ways that we can tweak these rules and make them work for us. Anything else on this one-click campaign structure before we move on?
Do we want to go over the advanced sponsored products options, or maybe hit that later?
Let's hit that later. I want to make sure we have time to cover talk about restructuring in detail. So let's. I think there's a blog post on advanced sponsored product options. If that's something you're interested in, you can always write into us at support, and we'll talk you through it. Great. So we're back to our campaign manager here now. This is going to show all of the active campaigns in our account, and we can see that we have a one-click campaign setup that we created earlier, Magician's Hat the Novel, and you'll see that there is a Magician's Hat the Novel auto campaign, a research campaign, and a performance campaign. And next to those campaigns, you'll see they have a rules column, and there are some rules listed there. We can actually click into these rules and see what we created and what's going on here. So this is going to show me all of the rules that are on the Magician's Hat the Novel auto campaign. Let's click into that keyword promotion keyword. So again, this is that one-click rule setup that we just looked at. We're getting the negative phrase match in the auto campaign, the broad match keyword in the research, in addition to the negative exact match in the keyword, and then the positive exact match keyword in the performance campaign. Again, this is just to keep our search terms isolated. This will make sure that our search term is only being managed by one keyword, ideally in the performance group, so that we can affect change in the account. if you are if you're starting a new campaign, this is a great way to get going. If you're new to Prestozon and you want to try out this structure for an existing campaign, one of the things you can do, you actually can pull in data from ad groups and campaigns that are already running. And you can do that here in this, this field. You can type in the ad group that you want to bring into this rule. Talking about restructuring, if you had a campaign, excuse me, yeah, a campaign that you were already running and you wanted to try this one-click setup for it, you could create a new one-click campaign that had the information in it. You can add any seed research keywords, but then we actually can pull data from the campaigns that are already running to feed into these existing, to this one-click campaign setup. What Ariel has done is pulled these ad groups into the rule, and now this rule is going to look for sales in the last 90 days in these ad groups. This is really great to pull in historical information here. Again, if you're trying to restructure and you want to create you want to try to create an existing campaign in this rule structure, this is a great way to do it. You don't want to lose all of that data. There's already so much good data there. You can do this. It also, you know, if you were creating your own rules, this is another way you could do it. You could add those groups in there and then create whatever kind of keywords that you wanted. There's a lot of great strategies available to you in Prestozon. The platform is very flexible. We just like this search term isolation strategy, particularly if you're new to the platform. We think it's a really, really good place to start. But you can get in here and change the rules and make whatever kind of keywords you feel is appropriate for your strategy. That's possible here as well.
Hey, Kevin, I also
yeah.
want to jump in and throw out another restructure possibility because we do have a lot of authors on. And from the Facebook group and talking to some people in tickets, there's an additional sort of restructure option that I want to highlight. So Ariel, can you just hop up to step 2 and just type in auto and bring in an auto campaign? Hopefully we've got another one. We don't have any. I
think they're all in this already for this.
Womp womp. That's okay. So I just want to highlight that as you can see here, you know, there's the 3 campaigns from the one-click campaign setup, right? So you've got Magic Hat, the novel, auto, performance, and research. But if we go up to how to use magic wands, so that's a manual campaign, but let's pretend it's an auto campaign for a second. And in fact, let's pretend that it is your high-performing auto campaign that you already have running. A lot of authors have written in and said, hey, I've got an auto campaign that I've got tweaked to my settings and it's working really well. And the one that you've created through the one-click campaign setup isn't nearly as good. That's perfectly fine. All you have to do is bring your existing auto campaign into the rule, just like this. Go over to step 5 and set it as a negative phrase. And then you can actually, and then remove the negative P here, remove it as a source, and you can actually go in and pause the auto campaign that we created through the one-click campaign setup in the Amazon portal. And you are now sourcing from your old auto campaign. That is your, you know, your kind of bread and butter. And so you can do that right here. If you want to be overly cautious, you can actually not negate in that auto campaign. If you're saying, hey, it's not broken, you know, I don't want to overdo it. You can do that. You won't be perfectly isolated that way. But, you know, again, like Kevin was saying, there's a million different strategies out there. You know, if it gives you peace of mind not to be messing with that auto campaign, it's perfectly fine to remove that. But I just wanted to mention that because we have gotten a lot of comments saying, hey, my auto campaign is working really well, and you can have your cake and eat it too. You don't need to, you know, full bore start from scratch with all of our stuff. You can use the auto campaign that's currently being successful for you.
Yeah, great. The other thing that I will throw out here is this is a great option and to source from the auto campaign that's already running from you. Obviously, if you're creating negative phrase matches in that auto group, you're going to be pulling your good search terms out and into the performance group, which is great. Then we get more control as exact match keywords in that performance group. but it is going to slowly erode the performance of this auto group, which is how our one-click campaign setup is designed. That's what it's designed for. You just need to be aware of that if you're using an auto campaign that you already know and love. And that's a great strategy. One of the other things you can do, this is usually what we suggest to really keep it search term isolated. Again, just another option in what's available in this restructure setup. Is to bring in here, if we're talking about how to use magic wands as an auto campaign, that's your auto campaign that's working really well for you and you love it. To run that, the auto campaign from the one-click setup, the one-click campaign setup, rather, to bring in that auto group that you know and love into these rule structures here to not create that negative phrase match and to pause that old auto campaign. Again, if this is a campaign you love and works really well for you, this may not be the strategy for you. But if you pause that and use it as a source, Prestozon is going to pull keywords from the last 90 days, but the benefit you have in pausing that keyword is, that campaign, is that you will continue to be search term isolated. But if at any point you want to revert back to that auto campaign because you know it works how you like it, you can just unpause it and then pause the campaigns from the one-click campaign setup. So that's a little bit of a safer bet if you want to be safe in this new structure. So those are just a couple of different options that are available to you depending on how you want to go forward. And if you want to discuss any of those sort of strategies in further detail, please write into us at support. We're happy to chat about it. The only other thing I want to cover here on the rules page is up there at the top, we have our automation toggle. If you had automation turned off for your one-click campaign structure, you can turn that on here. That'll make those suggestions come through automatically. We're going to look at the suggestions tab here in a minute. The other thing on this page to note is this advanced options tab right above that. By default, these rules are going to look for a single sale in these ad groups and convert search terms, do the search terms as they're indicated here. If you're a high volume account, one order may not be enough for you to know if a search term is good or not. You can change that here in this order threshold. You can change it to only convert after 3 sales or 5 sales or whatever. In addition, you can set an ACoS limit for that. So maybe you only want to promote search terms that are running at 50% ACoS or less. You can tweak those order settings here. There's a really, really great blog post about advanced rule settings and how you can use them. You can check that out on our blog as well. But those are the basics on rules. Anything else before we move on? Great. So let's go over the bid suggestions. We talked about these rules and they're going to trigger on sales. They're going to suggest keywords for creation. Let's look at where those keywords get suggested. We're going to go over to the suggestions tab. We're going to talk about bid automation here in a minute. We've been talking about keywords. So if we go over to this keywords tab here at the top of our suggestions tab, any of those search terms that get triggered will get generated here as a suggestion. This gives us some basic information about the keyword. We get the keyword itself, the rule name that's suggesting it, the actions here. If you hover over this action button here, it's actually going to tell you what keywords will be created and where. Again, this is going to look very familiar if you're paying attention to our rule structure from the one-click campaign setup. If you click on that action button, it in fact doesn't create the keyword right away. It stages it. You'll see up there we have this apply one action button. So you can go through and click any or all of these keywords and then you'll apply them in groups of however many you've selected. That just makes the application process go a little faster. If you come in here and you just want to apply them all as well, we have an option to do that as well. Below that apply action, we have bulk actions where you can perform an action for the entire page of suggestions. If you click that little drop down just to the right of the create button, it gives you some other options in here as well. You can create the keyword for all suggestions, which is what the button does. You can ignore it or you can snooze the suggestion. Maybe you want to give it some more time, collect some more data, you can do that as well. I think the other important thing to note on this page is up there on the top right, the show performance. If you click that, that's going to toggle some other metrics for you. Again, we get that ACOS that's color coded there, so you can see how the search term has been performing. This is great if you're, again, these keywords are getting promoted on a single sale, and that doesn't necessarily mean the ACOS is great on it. We're going to talk about how Prestozon uses the bid optimization algorithm to work on your ACOS. But for example, we have Kids Crime Book there. That's like maybe the 6th one down, and it's got an ACOS of 680%, which is pretty high. So that might be a great one that you wouldn't necessarily want to create. Now, it is possible that if we captured this, it would get kicked over to our bid optimization algorithm, and we might find a great sweet spot for this. In fact, we're pretty confident that our bid optimization algorithm would either do that or reduce the spend on a keyword like this so much that that you're not putting spend there and not getting results. But if you want to keep your keywords clean and only get those high performers, coming in and looking at this manually might be a great way to do that. And these metrics give you the ability to do that. Great. I'm speaking fast because I want to make sure we get through it all and get some time to answer questions. So if I'm going too fast, we're going to send out a video of this, and we're also available to ask questions of later. Anything else before I move over to bid suggestions?
I don't have anything.
Great. Wonderful. So by default, we have our bid optimization algorithm, which is going to look at keywords in your campaigns, and it is going to try to optimize the bid towards your target ACOS. Ariel, do you mind going back to the campaign manager real quick before we dive into these bids? So here in this campaign manager, we see all of our campaigns here. You'll see just to the column there for ACOS target. Again, this is going to be what you set during that one-click campaign structure, or is set to the default that we set at the top of this session. The optimization algorithm is going to try to get your keywords to perform at this target ACOS. We turned off bid automation when we did our one-click campaign setup, and you can turn that back on here. This is going to automatically apply all of the suggestions we're about to look at in our bid suggestions. Again, if you're new, we recommend keeping it off so you can look and see what's going on here, learn the system, learn how it's working. But if you want to turn the automation back on, once it's all working for you to save yourself some time, you can do that here. So if you ever wanted to change your target ACOS, you could do that here in this screen as well. If your automation's not turned on, these bid optimization suggestions will get sent to that suggestions tab we were just looking at. Yes, Ariel is showing you how you can change that ACOS target. Click on that pencil, and of course you will always want to apply changes once you've made a change there. Great. Now, Magician's Hat, the novel auto is set to 90%. So your bid optimization algorithm would now be optimizing. It's a little funky on auto campaigns, but any manual campaigns, the bid optimization will optimize your key. I'm saying optimize a lot, but that's what it does. It optimizes your keywords towards this target ACOS. Let's go back over to that bid suggestions tab, and we'll talk through that a little bit. So that suggestion process comes through here in this bid suggestions tab. We can look at this. Let's look at this first keyword here, this mystery novels. Again, if we hover over that icon, we'll get some information about what, to the left, the little circle, we're going to get some information about what campaign this is running in. We can see the current bid on this keyword there in that, which is really useful. It's also going to show us in this column here to the right. This gives us some information on what we call an experiment. That means the experiment is just how this keyword has been performing since the last time the bid was changed. This is staging data, so these durations on these experiments are pretty long. This one's 109 days, but we have that information there in that first column. The metrics that we see in the rest of this row are going to be for that experiment duration. We see the current bid, we can see the spend on this keyword since the last bid change, and we see this target ACOS. Now, the bid optimization has been shooting for, in this case, it was set to 30%. We're getting a notification here that we've changed the target ACOS, and so these bids may not be current. So that's what that little orange exclamation point is for. If you're seeing this, you can just wait. Usually within a day, new experiments get generated, and it'll make suggestions based on the new data, based on the change that you made. Here, this should look pretty similar to our keyword suggestion page. We have some actions that are available to us here. This is suggesting that we change the bid on mystery novels to 50 cents, and you'll see to the right of that, it tells me what the change is. That's minus 6 cents. Again, we can click on that to apply that action, to stage the action for change, and then apply it there at the top. We also have the other options of snoozing or to stop generating suggestions for this keyword. And again, we have that bulk action option there in the top left as well. So if we wanted, we could apply all bid suggestions across this and make those changes. And then again, similar to our keyword suggestions, we have a show data toggle there on the right, which will give me even more information regarding these keywords. Now, this bid optimization system is really powerful. It's going to grab those exact match keywords. It'll grab all of the keywords, but it's really geared for those exact match keywords in your performance campaign, and we'll find the sweet spot on a bid that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck and the biggest return for your investment. It's also a safeguard. If you get a keyword that gets promoted into your performance campaign and it doesn't perform well, or maybe it was performing well at one point and it stops performing well, the bid optimization algorithm will catch that. It'll see that spend is going up, ACOS is going up, and you're not getting sales. It will slowly bring that bid down until you aren't putting any spend to that keyword. So bid optimization is really great to get your to optimize those keywords, to get the right amount of volume running through them, so you're really doing well in those, but also helps you if spend starts getting out of control. That's a great way. It's a great tool to help you out. Yes, Ariel just navigated over to our keyword detail page. You could do that by clicking there, or in the analytics tab, there's that graph icon for a keyword. That'll take you here. This is more granular detail on these keywords. Again, we have these charts that we know and love, which gives us some insight here. We get information since the last bid change, which is in this case 116 days. Again, that's pretty long because it's staging data. We get the current bid. We can change the bid right here if we see some actionable data here that we want to change. We can set our bid right here at the top by changing it there and set the bid. We get, this is similar to that suggestions page. We get metric data for the, since the last bid change there. And then below that, of course, is our chart. The important thing to point out here in the chart is we get this bid. The bid is a metric here. And again, this bid hasn't been changed in a long time, but in a regular account, you might see some bid changes. And this is a great way to see how changing the bid affects your performance. So that bid is that pink line across the top there. And if we had changes in it, you would see that moving around. What would be great on a keyword like this, why this view is so powerful, is you can see how the ACOS or the sales or any other metric responds to those bid changes in graph form. So this view can be really, really helpful to get in here. Wonderful. Anything else on keywords and bid suggestions?
Nothing from me.
Great. If you've got this change history is useful. It's going to show you a log of all of your bid changes, particularly if you have automation turned on for those bid suggestions. this is useful so you can see what changes are being made here. So that's a useful thing to look at. Again, the Prestozon system is designed for you to get a strategy set up in your account. We really like the search term isolation strategy. But once you've got that strategy set up, our goal is to automate that strategy for you. We think search term isolation can offer you some great benefits to your account. More than that, though, we just want you to be able to get your time back. So we're really big fans of automation. Again, we advise not doing it until you understand what's going on. But when you get in there and you're looking through those suggestions and you start agreeing with them, you find yourself just applying all of them. That's a great time to turn on automation, which we did cover a little earlier. So, great. I think that's it for all of the features and whatnot. I've talked plenty. Ariel is going to show you a few support resources, and then we can answer any outstanding questions with the couple minutes we have left.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. So as we mentioned before, our blog is a great resource, and you'll be able to find lots of helpful articles in here about strategy and just general tips and tricks about how to really get the most out of your Prestozon experience. So we've got the search term isolation article. We also have this great restructure article. So we went over this a little bit during the webinar, but you can kind of get a step-by-step walkthrough here of the process. We also have all of our events listed here on the events page of the blog. We also share the recording. So if there's anything you kind of are like, oh, I think they talked about this, but I don't quite remember, you can always go back and watch the recording, and they should be emailed out to you as well. Just want to tease that we're going to have a special webinar just for authors on the 5th of August. We're thinking of doing it kind of in the morning. We haven't yet set a time, but this is going to be an exclusive webinar for authors who are subscribed. And if you're in the Facebook group, the author Facebook group, we're also going to mention it there. So something to look forward to on the horizon. So another great support resource is our knowledge base. So we write all of these articles ourselves. So for example, you might have a question about what does the coloring mean in analytics, and you can search the knowledge base directly from the platform, and it will take you, and you'll be able to read this article and get your answer. I can show you here. There's a little widget where you can type in your questions. If you click here on support, you get this lovely little pop-up window, and you can search for help, add your questions here. Or if you don't find the answer to your question, you can contact us directly, and that will link to support@prestozon.com. Sometimes our authors like to post in the Facebook group, and this can be really cool because then a bunch of authors can benefit from the answer. But if you want a quick answer, it's probably best to email us directly. So just a couple last things. We've got some videos here in the system that you can just click and watch. For those of you who've come to us from Mark Dawson's Automation Ads course, welcome. Those of you who haven't, hopefully in the near future, we'll be sharing lots of lovely tutorial videos so you can kind of benefit from walkthroughs similar to the webinar that just really go in depth. We have these videos throughout the app, but you can also check them out on our YouTube channel. And of course, we've got the authors Facebook group, which you can apply. And we also have a general Prestozon user group. So I think that is everything on the resources side. Guys, did I forget anything?
I think that's all of it.
Awesome. Okay. Do we want to answer any more questions? Do we have anything on the go, Derek?
I think we got to everyone. We do have a hand raise from earlier, and so fair warning, I'm going to unmute you because I didn't get, So I guess that is the hand raiser just sent in the question. And so the question was, do you have any data on how much sales go up by using Prestozon? So we do have some really cool data. I don't know if we can share it externally, but we did a ton of analysis on particular the quarantine and the COVID situation. And I'm not sure that we can share the exact numbers because it gets into some account information, but we saw actual decreased ACOS on people that were actively managing through Prestozon, whereas ACOS went up for other users. Typically, our performance metrics, we use ACOS more than like sales volume, just because sales volume, there's so much other stuff that goes into that. You know, we'd love to take credit for, you know, a company doing a huge marketing blast or like really scaling up, but you know, typically companies are going to grow, and Amazon is, you know, Amazon PPC is kind of a smaller part of that. But yeah, we've done some really cool internal analyses kind of showing how, oh, if you're subscribed to Prestozon and you're actively managing, you know, you're pretty much seeing like a 6%. I don't want to throw out numbers just off the top of my head, but something like a 6% ACOS drop versus, you know, non-subscribed during the kind of troubling times at the beginning of COVID when Amazon was having all of these issues and logistics issues and all of that stuff. So we do have some things around that, but you know, maybe at some point we'll write a blog post and see what we can share in terms of external numbers. But actually, a good one for that would be the Amazon advertising case studies. We do have 2 case studies up right now with Amazon advertising and some partners of ours. So that might be a good place to look. Ariel, maybe we should add that to the kind of support resources and maybe add that to the email that we blast out with the recording. We'll send the case studies.
Great idea.
Great. Well, we are over time, so thank you for your time. We appreciate you coming today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at support. A lot of exciting stuff coming for authors in particular, so keep your eyes peeled in your email and on our blog for new features, new strategies, all that coming through. We love talking about all that stuff. I'm going to throw up a quick poll. If you wouldn't mind taking that, clicking through that on your way out. Thank you. We'll be sending out a recording of this video a little in an hour or two. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that's everything.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. Enjoy your Wednesday. If you have any additional questions, you know where to find us.
Thanks, everyone. Lovely to
Thanks
meet you.
all.